my name is Alicia and today we're going to try the glass skin trend.
You better turn up.
I recently saw a couple of videos talking about this glass skin trend, and it's something that is so left field for me and how I personally do my makeup that I was like, yes, I need to try this. I don't know about you guys, but I tend to get so stuck in my ways with makeup, and I tend to just do everything very much the same and not really try new techniques and different ways to apply makeup. This was something that I thought, this is a really cool idea. The whole thought behind it is minimum product, maximum blending. I'm someone who always packs on the color, packs on the foundation, packs on the powder, generally not lightweight. So this is something that the videos that I've seen make it look so flawless, and they're really using barely any product. So I want to try that out for myself. So let's get started. Focus. Okay, this thing obviously sees my face. What's going on? There we go. Hi. The first product that I'm going to use is from The Ordinary, and it is their High Spreadability Fluid Primer. I'm using this because I want to make sure that my product can go a long ways, so to speak. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and then just apply it all over my face. And this is really nice. It feels super smooth. I really like The Ordinary's foundation and their primers. I'm gonna use their foundation too. It's one of my favorites right now. Once I've applied that and I'm bringing it down onto my neck because I used a little bit too much, and like I said, we want to make sure. I'm also just gonna use some of this. This is by Isadora. It is their lip oil. So the next thing I'm gonna do is use the, where did it go? Why am I never prepared? You ever just sit there and like search for a product that you know you used like yesterday? Oh, there it is. It's actually put away. This is The Ordinary's High Coverage Foundation, and the shade I have is 1.1N. I really like the way that this foundation feels and looks, and it's really nice. The brush that I'm going to be using for this is a Smashbox brush, and it is their Cream Cheek, but I'm actually going to use this to apply my foundation. So I'm just going to do this really lightly. So I'm gonna put a pump onto the brush, and then we're just gonna dot it around. Generally, I would use a lot more of this foundation. I usually use like 2 to 3 pumps of it, but the idea here is to use less so that your skin really looks like skin. It doesn't look like you have a lot of product on. And there's nothing wrong with looking like you have a lot of product on. You know, if you're wearing makeup, a lot of the times you want it to look flawless, but it's not necessarily natural. But one of the reasons I really like this foundation is because for me it looks like skin. It looks very natural. It doesn't look heavy. It doesn't take away, you know, some foundations can leave your skin looking almost like a canvas in the sense of just pancaked, if that makes sense. I like this one because it still looks like skin. See, now this is the part where normally I would be like, okay, I need more coverage over here. I need more coverage around my forehead and all of this stuff, but I'm really gonna try and, you know, break my habit, so to speak, and just keep blending this because you know there's still some on the brush, and just see if I can get it to really go into the skin instead of just sitting on top of the skin. This is actually really nice because it doesn't even feel, I can barely even feel the foundation on, but it still gave that sort of complete coverage in the sense that it's doing the job of foundation. Instead of making it look, you know, a layer of foundation on, it's more like it's just like a filter on your skin where it's just kind of evening everything out and making it look really cohesive. Now, the only things I have really, I have a breakout right here on my jaw and a couple on my chin, as well as slight under eye bags. I'm gonna do this with a smaller brush to begin with. So for concealer, I'm just gonna use the tiniest bit. I'm talking like a dot, like dots. I'm just gonna pop it on the breakouts, and I'm just patting it on, kind of like just stippling it. And then once it's on there is when I'm just gonna work really lightly to gradually fade out that foundation. So that way the majority of the coverage is just where I need it and it's not all over my face. So it's just right on the breakout and then just very, like, barely touching the skin here to diffuse the foundation. so that it is nice and soft everywhere else, and the real coverage is just on the color, just on the actual breakout. For under my eyes, I'm going to use a slight color corrector because what I've noticed is if I go in with too much normal concealer, like the Tarte Shape Tape, I've been having real issues with that lately where it's just not spreading as nicely and ends up looking really heavy. So this is a MAC color corrector, Studio Conceal and Correct Duo. I'm using the peach shade, just a tiny bit as you can see, and just lightly pressing it into the under eye darkness, not putting it all over. This isn't like when you see people doing the giant thing of concealer. You just want that directly on top, and you can already see it made a huge difference. Directly on top of the color it needs to correct, so that I need darkness. And I'm being so gentle so that the product is just going into the skin. It's being pressed into the skin. This is a really delicate area anyways, but this is to make sure that it's not going to look streaky, and also just using a lot less product. I mean, that's like the smallest amount of product I ever used, but this ends up looking actually a lot better than what it normally looks like for me. And I rarely use color corrector because it always looks like crap on me, and that's because clearly I use too much. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and really I'm just putting this not even on top of the under eye darkness. It's almost like just around the edges, and that's because I kind of just want to diffuse that line where the under eye bags end, if that makes sense. So again, just really lightly patting this because the darkness is pretty much concealed, and I'm bringing just a little bit of the color over top of it, but it doesn't need too much concealer. The bigger thing I want to conceal is where the under eye bags end, because that can end up looking a little bit sallow, a little sunken in. So that's why I just want to really lightly, very lightly, and in like a patting, stippling motion. I'm not sweeping this on. This is one of those techniques where less is more, but you really need to spend time with the product. It's not something that you can just quickly do. It really is one of those looks where it proves the point that natural looking makeup ends up taking almost longer than anything else because it just needs so much TLC. So I'm happy so far. This looks really nice. So then the next thing is powder. I'm going to use this Dermablend loose setting powder, and it is translucent shade, but what the idea here is to not use a lot. So it's to use very little, and that kind of goes against what we've seen lately for the last like year or so in the beauty community online, where all anyone wants to do is cover their face in powder and let it set, so doing baking and stuff. So the idea here is to just barely even see it on your brush, and then again to just kind of really lightly apply this. So what I'm doing is I'm just lightly sweeping along, but if I find that there's any resistance, like on my chin, that's when I'll kind of do more of a stippling, because I don't want the makeup to end up getting streaky or picked up. And again, this is something that you take a little bit more time. I mean, I'm usually one that goes just to get it on because I get impatient, but the idea here is more to just have it honestly meld in with what you already have on and with your skin, so it's just almost blurring your actual skin instead of adding too much to it. The next thing I'm gonna do is to add a little bit of color to my face. You could do a creamy product. I'd probably do it before a powder. I'm gonna use my Benefit Hoola, which is a bronzer. I'm going to be using, this is a Luxie Beauty Tapered Highlighter. Well, we're gonna use it for a little bit of defined bronzing, I'm going to say, because it's not going to be quite like a straight contour. So I'm going to start at the top of my ear. That's how I normally do this. Get it on my brush, tap away the extra, really lightly, and I do this kind of in circles, and then slowly bring it down to right about, if I was looking straight, right here is where I want it to completely fade away. Kind of follow the pupil down. More concentration of the color I definitely want towards the hairline. I'm going to be doing the same thing, just lightly around the edges of my face, kind of concentrating on the temple, a little bit along the forehead, but really I just want just a little bit of color, because I find for me, at least when I just have foundation on, I end up feeling a little Caspery. The other side. And again, taking more time here than normal, like everything else, to really make sure that it's, I don't want to say looking like no makeup at all, because obviously it doesn't, but I just want it to look very seamless, very blended. Next is a highlight. I'm gonna use the BECCA Cosmetics Parisian Lights highlighter. I really like this. It's kind of this light pink with gold. I'm not using a ton of it because, again, the idea is not to have like the giant streak over your face. It's just to kind of enhance. So I'm gonna use this is Violet's favorite brush. This mermaid one. This is a Royal Langnickel, I believe. I think it's sold at Walmart. Just a little bit. Because obviously, when I think of glass, at least, I think of something that is clear and shiny. But I don't want this to look so over the top. Put a little bit on my forehead. Because I don't want the sparkle. Gosh, these baby hairs kill me. I don't want the sparkle. I just want just a little bit of a dewiness. A little tiny bit on my nose. I'm not into that Rudolph look. And a little bit on my chin. Now I'm gonna add a blush. My favorite blush is Baby Love from Too Faced. This is always my go-to. Just on the apples of the cheeks. And this is really, I'm not applying a lot. It's just something I want to connect the contour bronzer shade with the highlighter, and the blush is the best way to do that. Now I'm gonna go back in with the brush I used for the powder, and I'm just gonna go over my cheeks. I didn't add any extra powder on here. And I'm just kind of stippling because I want to just tone this down. I want this to be, you can see it and you can see that it is adding definition. It's adding a little bit of color to my face, but I don't want it to be anything prominent. For my brows, I'm going to just fill in with a little bit of powder. This is the Browsings from Benefit. I like to take an angled brush, go in with the powder here because one of them is a wax. I never use the wax. I go right where the beginning of my brows are. This is all fake. It's not even real hair. And I kind of just press the brush into the bottom of the brow and then flick it upwards. And this way the color is concentrated on the bottom, but it is bringing that color upwards. It looks a little bit more natural-ish instead of if I just filled it all the way in, it would definitely look a little bit blocky. And then I'm just gonna go through here. I kind of just go back and forth moving the brow hairs because my brows are very, very sparse and they don't grow very evenly. And my microblading is due for a touch-up, which I can't get because she was booked out. So it's at the end of May. So then I'm just gonna disperse that brow hair. So one thing I'm gonna do here is just a little bit of a brow pencil just because I can see the areas that are just microblading and they're a lot lighter. Even though I don't want my brows to be super overly filled in, I still want them to look connected. I've found no matter what brand, all of these skinny eyebrow pencils are exactly the same, so don't waste your money if you don't have to. You don't need to get the Anastasia ones or the Benefit, they're all exactly the same. And I know that this Ulta one is a lot less expensive than those ones. But I just really like having this on hand to add just the brows hair stroke kind of look. Little dimension. The last step for this look, I guess, would be to do eyeshadow and mascara, anything like that. I'm just gonna do a little bit of mascara. So I'm just gonna use a eyelash curler. I wish I did not need an eyelash curler, but even with an eyelash curler, I still feel like my eyelashes just go straight. So I'm using this mascara. It's the first one I grabbed. It's from Lorac. It's the Royal Treatment Primer and Mascara Duo. And apparently the primer is bright blue. This is the mascara side. I haven't used this before, but I really like it. It's giving me that feathery lash look without getting all over my face. I'm really guilty of when it comes to mascara. So there you go, that's the glass skin look. I'm really happy that I tried this trend out because this is definitely very different from my go-to makeup in the sense that it's a lot less of it, but the results are so much nicer. It feels like nothing on my skin, which is what I'm all about, especially since, you know, I live in Phoenix and it is quickly becoming summer here, and so less is better. Can't wear heavy makeup in the summertime here. It's not possible unless you just don't go outside, which I rarely do. I recommend trying this out. making your makeup work for you, essentially, and gonna last a lot longer if you're using less product. It takes a little bit longer, but the results speak for themselves. Smells. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Alicia. If you liked what you saw, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and make sure to subscribe if you like what I'm putting on the table, what I'm offering to you. I'll see you next time. This is my RuPaul smile. Gentlemen, start your engines, and may the best woman win. Wait, no. Gentlemen, start your engines, and may the best woman win.